Good morning, Doc.
Morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming back in. Look, we've got lots of people who've been messaging on Instagram, on Twitter and on email. Tony says, my son's been diagnosed with migraines at the age of 6. I'm worried how that will affect him as he grows up. Are there any treatments for managing it, as he can sometimes suffer in silence?
Awful.
Gosh, that's terribly young.
6 is really young, isn't it? So we are seeing a larger number of children getting diagnosed with this. So if that was a formal diagnosis by a GP, there are lots of treatments, starting with... So the medicine that's licensed in adults is not licensed in under 12s. So he can have an intranasal preparation of the medicine. It's called sumatriptan, and that actually works amazingly. And because he's so young, I would advise the parents to maybe keep an eye on what the triggers are for him. So for a lot of children, it can be loud noises, flashing lights, certain food items. So keeping a symptom diary for even 8 weeks, identifying the triggers, reducing exposure to the triggers so that as he grows up, he can get more confident in managing his condition.
That's very difficult, though. I mean, if it is triggered by loud noises, I mean, anyone that's got a 6-year-old will tell you, especially 6-year-old boys, and I have a 6-year-old son, they are noisy.
Yeah.
The classroom is noisy. And what would be the underlying cause of something like that? I know you say what the triggers would be, but I mean, can you be a perfectly healthy child but just be having migraines?
Absolutely.
And why are we seeing more incidents of this, do you
It's
think?
just getting diagnosed more.
Right.
So I think they were always there,
Right.
but they might have been brushed off as stress or maybe something that will get better. But I think because it's getting formally diagnosed now, we can actually treat more of it. And a lot of them don't end up taking it into adulthood, so they can grow out of it. So it doesn't mean just because he has it now, he's going to have it for the rest of his life.
Yeah, so to people who are suffering, it's interesting you say children can grow out of it. Can anybody grow out of it? And what about advances in treatments?
In my experience, I haven't seen anyone completely get cured of migraines.
Yes.
However, the frequency, I have seen some patients say, I've not had a symptom or I've not had a migraine in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you probe a bit more about their lifestyle, they might tell you, actually, my job has become less stressful, I've moved to a certain area, I've changed my diet, I'm more compliant with my medication. So all of that acts in conjunction, I think.
Lots of people with long COVID have complained, haven't they, of an increase in migraines, and we've seen COVID sweeping through schools this term. I wonder if that's linked at all.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Yeah,
actually.
maybe.
Yeah.
OK, what other emails have we had in?
Gut health we want to talk about now. And this is Sarah. Sarah suffers from IBS for most of her adult life. She's worried about it getting worse when she gets into her 50s. What can she do to manage this and to manage her gut health?
OK, so gut health in general, so apart from being active, eating a balanced diet, taking some probiotics, if she has had IBS her entire life, she'll be very well aware, more than any of us, of how to manage her symptoms with the certain triggers. But what's important is, in your 50s and 60s, there are certain more serious conditions that can mimic symptoms of IBS. Now, I'm talking about things like bowel cancer. It can present with symptoms like weight loss, a change in bowel habit. So if you're someone who doesn't go to the toilet often and all of a sudden there's a change in that, please see your doctor if you're in the 50s age range, because we can do some tests to make sure it's not something more serious.
Yeah.
OK.
And often medication, prescriptions, a change of medication can affect that, can't it?
Yeah, it can. Yeah, antibiotics.
Yeah.
Antibiotics can change your medication, can.
But there are quite a few good treatments for managing IBS day to day. I know this from family members, things like charcoal tablets, and you can put charcoal in water. Is that something that you would recommend?
So that's not something we would personally recommend.
Okay.
So we normally give things to help reduce stomach cramps. Patients either get constipation or diarrhea. So depending on which symptom affects them more, we'd base it according to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will says, I want to get fit quick, but despite getting a gym membership and going every couple of days, my body is struggling to shake the weight. What diets help to build muscle healthily and to lose fat?
We all want to get fit quick, don't we? So I had a nutritionalist come to our practice and tell us abs are made in the kitchen. Okay.
So true.
So it's great that he's working out, but if we're not managing what we're putting into our body as fuel, all of that is kind of pointless. So I always say be realistic. You know, we can't overnight change our entire life or what we've grown up with. So something as simple as cutting out fizzy drinks, cutting down the carbs, you know, fried things, and increasing what's green on a plate. So if on your plate the majority of colour is green, say salad, something fresh, steamed, roasted rather than fried, something as simple as that will make a bigger difference.
OK.
Yeah.
Doc, finally...